The question that Jesus asked Peter was absolutely, breathtakingly brilliant. It was genius. Because Peter's world had just been turned upside down. And in recent days, he had experienced probably every intense emotion possible. The agony of betrayal and knowing he was guilty of it. The absolute horror of seeing his friend killed. The unspeakable joy of the resurrection. And now, simply not knowing what would be next for him. No lecture was going to set him straight. No sermon was going to help him get his head right. But a single, elegant, poignant question had the capacity to reorient him. Peter, do you love me? There may be no more important question in the life of the church than that question. Community of Christ, do you love me? Because how we answer the question has the capacity to reorient us. We know that it's true. Think of it. When you fall in love and find yourself suddenly deeply in love with someone, does not it change your very core? When a new child comes into your life, a niece, a grandchild, a son or daughter, does not your world to some degree reorient around that life, around that love? Do you love me? May be the most important question before the church. Jesus' response to Peter makes it very clear what behavior is supposed to look like if in fact we do love him, which I suppose is the telltale sign as to whether or not we actually love him as opposed to believing in him or accepting him. When we love Jesus, there is a profound change, a profound impact in our behavior because of the implication that if we love him, we will feed his sheep. And friends, we could talk for a very long time about the multiple ways that we might feed his sheep. But I just want to ask you to give serious attention, if you would please, to doing three things to feed his sheep. 1, when you go back home, every time anything, and I do mean anything, is being planned in your congregation, would you please ask the question out loud? How can this bless our community? Everything. When anything in your congregation is being planned or discussed as a possibility, how might this bless our community? So that your voice is one of the voices that helps the gaze of the church to forever be turning outward, as opposed to the gaze of the church forever be turning inward on ourselves. It's simple, but do it consistently whenever something is being planned. How is this going to bless our community? Item 2. Who do you need to invite to church? I frequently talk about outreach ministry and invitational ministry when I'm in various congregations and places, and often I will hear people say, "Well, Brother Schaal, all this talk about invitation and going and baptizing people, are we just being concerned about numbers?" And finally, not long ago, having heard that for about the 100th time, I finally looked at the group and I said, yes. Because every single number represents a boy or girl or woman or man who needs to be in relationship with Jesus, who needs the supporting, healing ministries of the church. Is it about numbers? Is it about numbers? Not if that means just we want to swell the rolls of the church. But if we want to make disciples, if we want lives to be healed, if we believe that life is so precious that everyone deserves an opportunity to know Christ and be supported in their faith by loving community, who do you need to invite to church? Who do you need to invite next week? Number 3. Friends, let's pay our tithing. The reason I say let's pay our tithing is simply this. I am not motivated to pay my tithing simply so that the World Church budget can be in some manner healthy on the balance sheet. I am motivated to pay my tithing because right now, missionaries, ministers who are funded by World Church tithing dollars in many places in this world are helping young people learn how to avoid the ravages of the HIV virus. And because of your generosity, there are children who are being spared that heartache. It's because not far from where I am standing right now, there is a man who said to me not long ago, "I love this church. And I love this church. Because of this church, I now get to be with my family again because I don't do cocaine anymore." And he's not doing cocaine anymore because of ministries that came his way, funded by tithing dollars, made possible by your generosity. Friends, let me be candid. There are times in which I hear people say, "Well, I don't know if I want to pay tithing to the World Church because I just don't see my congregation getting that much in return." Brothers and sisters, it's not about me or my congregation. It's about the values that I hold dear. And because I do not want those children to get AIDS, because I want other daddies to be reunited with their children, because I want children all over the world to learn about the enduring principles of community of Christ and receive the gospel of Jesus Christ as interpreted by our unique vision and unique pastoral and prophetic call. That's why I pay tithing. I don't care if I get anything in return. I pay because it's in alignment with what I care for and what I value. Plus, it's just downright fun to write that check and to know that my doing so is making a difference in my world. It is an intimate act of worship. So ask the question in your congregation about how it's going to bless community. Think about who it is that you can invite to church. And let's pay our tithing so that wonderful things continue to roll forward on this planet. So that if Jesus were to say to us, community of Christ, do you love me? All he would have to do is look at our behavior to say, the answer is apparently yes.